The digital echoes of a life can be haunting. A name, a title, a single sentence, all that remains in the vast, indifferent expanse of the internet. Amber Birbiglia. That's it. That's the cryptic opening in a Reddit post. A single line that crackles with an unspoken mystery. And then, a connection, a subtle thread pulled from the tangled web of online discussion. Why I stopped watching the Elisa Lam documentary. This seemingly innocuous addition transforms the blank slate of Amber Birbiglia into a doorway, a portal into a landscape of suspicion, loss, and unanswered questions, a place where the shadows of a tragedy dance with the flickering light of the internet. Who is Amber Birbiglia? And why, in the vast ocean of true crime, does her name, absent of any other details, hold such weight, evoking a feeling of something unfinished? We cannot provide you with specific details about a case surrounding Amber Birbiglia, as no information is given about such a case. Instead, let's explore the essence of the question and the atmosphere around such a case. Let's consider the type of case that such a prompt might hint at, the kind of tragedy that might leave such a sparse digital footprint. The Elisa Lam case, as mentioned in the Reddit post, is a chilling reminder of the unseen currents that can swirl beneath the surface of everyday life. Her disappearance and death at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles in 2013 became a viral sensation. The grainy surveillance footage from the hotel elevator, showing her exhibiting bizarre and erratic behavior, catapulted the case into the public eye, igniting speculation and fueling the flames of internet sleuths. Her body was later found in a water tank on the hotel roof, a location that only amplified the mystery surrounding her death. The official ruling was accidental drowning, but the circumstances remained shrouded in ambiguity. The Cecil Hotel itself had a history of suicides and unexplained deaths, further adding to the unsettling atmosphere. The Lam case is now infamous, a dark and tragic story that resonated deeply within the true crime community. This resonance is, in part, because of the many unanswered questions. It is easy to imagine the lasting impact of Amber's disappearance, and that is one of the most critical elements of the true crime genre. In the aftermath of a tragedy, the quest for answers can become a quest for meaning. The true crime narrative attempts to capture this experience. It is the attempt to comprehend the incomprehensible, to find solace in the stories of others who have experienced similar loss. The Amber Birbiglia case, as presented to us, has a compelling element of the unsolved mystery. We will likely never know the details of Amber's story. The Reddit post is a starting point, but the absence of data tells its own story, the story of the unknown. It invites us to consider the complexities of a life lost, of a mystery that remains, of the human condition and its capacity for both darkness and resilience. The silence surrounding Amber Birbiglia might be a void, but it is also a space for speculation, for empathy, for a reminder of the fragility of existence. It's a space that calls to mind the Elisa Lam case, a case of mysteries. This case has a place in a collection of unsolved cases. The true crime narrative seeks out a moment of remembrance. The scarcity of information surrounding Amber Birbiglia paints a stark picture, one that is eerily familiar to anyone who has delved into the annals of true crime. It conjures the ghost of cases where a name, perhaps scrawled on a missing person poster or whispered in hushed tones at a community meeting, is all that remains of a vibrant life extinguished too soon. These are the stories that linger, not because of sensational headlines or detailed investigative reports, but because of their very absence. They become potent symbols of the unknown, a chilling reminder that even in our hyper-connected world, lives can vanish, leaving behind only an echo in the digital ether. The mention of the Elisa Lam documentary acts as a crucial anchor, a point of reference that immediately imbues the sparse mention of Amber Birbiglia with a certain gravity. The Elisa Lam case, a modern-day enigma, is a prime example of how a single disappearance can captivate the public imagination and spawn countless theories. Elisa Lam, a bright, outgoing 21-year-old student from Vancouver, was on a solo trip across the west coast of the United States, seeking solace and perhaps a renewed sense of purpose after a period of personal struggles. Her blog entries, filled with wanderlust and a thoughtful introspection, painted a picture of a young woman eager to explore the world and herself. Her journey brought her to Los Angeles in January 2013. This monolithic building, a relic of Art Deco grandeur in the heart of downtown LA, had long been a magnet for sensational stories. Its history was a tapestry woven with threads of tragedy, tales of serial killers like Richard Ramirez, suicides, and unexplained deaths. The sheer density of dark occurrences within its walls seemed to imbue the very air with a sense of unease, a palpable atmosphere that clung to its hallways and shadowed its many rooms. Elisa's family, naturally concerned when she failed to check in with them as scheduled, reported her missing on January 31, 2013. The Los Angeles Police Department, though initially treating it as a standard missing person case, soon found themselves drawn into a labyrinth of perplexing circumstances. The crucial piece of evidence that propelled the case into the global spotlight was a security camera video from one of the Cecil Hotel's elevators. The footage, released by the LAPD, showed Elisa behaving in a manner that was deeply unsettling and difficult to interpret. She appeared to be talking to herself, gesturing wildly, and at times seemed to be hiding, peering out of the elevator doors as if evading an unseen pursuer. The jerky, distorted quality of the video only amplified the sense of disorientation and fear. This footage became the focal point for amateur sleuths and online forums, each viewer dissecting Elisa's actions, offering their own explanations ranging from mental health episodes to supernatural encounters. The circumstances surrounding Elisa's death fueled an intense wave of speculation. Theories abounded, from the mundane to the outlandish. Some believed she had a psychotic episode, possibly exacerbated by her bipolar disorder, which she had discussed in her blog, and had climbed into the tank herself. Others pointed to the hotel's dark history, suggesting sinister forces or even hotel staff were involved. The concept of freak accidents was also explored, with engineers debating the possibility of her having fallen into the tank inadvertently. The sheer impossibility of the scenario, the disconnect between the elevator footage and the discovery of her body, created a narrative void that the internet was all too eager to fill. This is where the spectral presence of Amber Birbiglia gains its significance. The juxtaposition of Amber's name with Elisa Lam's documentary suggests a shared resonance, a common thread of unresolved mystery. The user who posted the cryptic mention of Amber likely felt a connection to the unsettling nature of the Lam case, a recognition of the profound impact that unanswered questions have on those who seek understanding. The true crime genre thrives on these ambiguities, on the moments when the official narrative doesn't quite add up, leaving behind a lingering sense of unease. Amber's story, or lack thereof, taps into this primal human desire to make sense of the senseless. The true crime narrative, at its core, is an exploration of the darker aspects of humanity and the precariousness of life. It's about piecing together fragments of evidence, understanding motivations, and bearing witness to the devastating consequences of violence, negligence, or sheer misfortune. When a case like Elisa Lam's explodes into the public consciousness, it's not just the factual details that grip us. It's the emotional weight, the palpable sense of loss, and the chilling recognition of how vulnerable we all are. The Cecil Hotel itself became a character in the Elisa Lam story, its dilapidated grandeur and notorious past adding layers of gothic horror to an already tragic event. Imagine the damp, echoing corridors, the flickering lights, the scent of stale cigarettes, and something indefinable, something that spoke of countless untold stories and whispered secrets. The disappearance of Amber Birbiglia, however veiled in its anonymity, evokes a similar feeling of profound absence. It's the silence after the scream, the empty space where a life once existed. This silence can be more terrifying than any disclosed detail, for it allows the imagination to conjure its own horrors, its own unanswered questions. The quest for answers in the aftermath of a tragedy is often a deeply personal journey, not just for the victims' families, but for the wider community, and especially for those who engage with true crime narratives. We seek to understand not just what happened, but why, and how such events can be prevented. The very act of stopping watching a documentary like the one on Elisa Lam suggests a deep emotional engagement, perhaps one that became too overwhelming. It implies that the viewer experienced a profound sense of empathy, a visceral connection to the tragedy that made continued observation unbearable. This emotional toll is a testament to the power of these stories, and the ghost of Amber Berbiglia, invoked alongside such a case, suggests a similar emotion. Perhaps Amber's disappearance, or some aspect of it, mirrored a personal fear or a deeply unsettling aspect of the Lamb case that the viewer found too difficult to confront. The Amber Berbiglia case, as presented to us, has a compelling element of the unsolved mystery. We will likely never know the details of Amber's story. The Reddit post is a starting point, but the absence of data tells its own story, the story of the unknown. It invites us to consider the complexities of a life lost, of a mystery that remains, of the human condition and its capacity for both darkness and resilience. The silence surrounding Amber Berbiglia might be a void, but it is also a space for speculation, for empathy, for a reminder of the fragility of existence. It's a space that calls to mind the Elisa Lam case, a case of mysteries. This case has a place in a collection of unsolved cases. The true crime narrative seeks out a moment of remembrance, and in the quiet echo of Amber Berbiglia's name, we are reminded of all the lives, known and unknown, that have been lost to the shadows, leaving behind only questions and a profound sense of what might have been. The unadorned mention of Amber Berbiglia, placed in the context of a highly publicized case like Elisa Lam's, transforms her into a symbol of every lost narrative, every unsolved puzzle, every life whose digital footprint is too faint to trace, but whose absence is felt nonetheless.